we've got Markus Maluko Perez versus Dricus DuPlessis.
This one's interesting to me because I think this one's kind of the grappler versus the striker again. I think DuPlessis is more of the stand-up. He's making his UFC debut on this fight. Perez, a little bit more experience, fought in the UFC a handful of times. Not quite that impressive of a record. They're evenly matched on paper, which it kind of surprises me. And DuPlessis is actually a favorite in this fight, making his UFC debut. I know Perez is coming off of he's 3 losses out of his last 4 fights in the UFC. I mean, you could even go back even further. I mean, he's got a win-loss, and then now on a 2-fight losing streak.
No, it's just, the one was just a grappling tournament.
Oh, was it the grappling? Oh yeah, the last one was a loss, but he did lose.
Yeah,
to Turman back in November.
Yeah,
I'm going to say DuPlessis gets it done. I think he's overall fought a little bit better. Well, I'm not even going to say he's fought better competition because this is a UFC debut. I think DuPlessis gets it done.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So Markus Perez, this dude is a grinder. You know, he's gonna fight for your dollar if you want to bet on him. He'll never give up. Like, he's one of those dudes. He trains at American Top Team. You love to see it. But he has lost his last 2 fights, like you mentioned. He's got an underrated submission game, and he's never been finished. He's got some nice heavy calf kicks, some really good leg kicks, good elbows. I love when fighters use elbows. But he'll use the body lock to try and get the fight to the ground. He's definitely going to be at a disadvantage in the stand-up, for sure. Technically wise, I think he might have more power, but he's definitely going to be at a disadvantage technically wise against the kickboxer DuPlessis. 6 foot, 76-inch reach. He's making his UFC debut. He's never been to the judges before, so I thought that was interesting because Markus Perez has never been finished. So if this goes the distance, how's his gas tank going to hold up against such a grinder like Markus? In my opinion, he's fought the lower competition. He's got some good low kicks though, and he has a pretty nice MMA IQ, good overhand right. But I'm going to go with the underdog, Markus Perez here. I think he's going to grind out a decision victory over DuPlessis when he slows down in the second and third. You know, maybe he loses that first.
Burner, you said it right the first. What is it? DuPlessis? What is it?
DuPlessis.
DuPlessis. You got to get the French in there, Jason.
I should know that. I didn't think with my last name I would know this.
You uneducated. No, I'm just kidding.
This is what the phonetic spelling's for, I guess.
Yeah. Right. So DuPlessis. So just touched on it. Never been to a decision. It's crazy. Win or loss, every fight that he's had has ended in a finish. All 16 of them. That's almost unheard of. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I love about that is if that's his fighting style and he's going for finishes, I'm gonna. This is one of my rare. I'm gonna give the edge to the guy that hasn't been in the UFC. One thing's going to happen here. One guy's never been finished. One guy does nothing but finish people or get finished. I will take the guy that has that one thing without ever seeing any of his fights. Killer instinct immediately. He's got 14 wins by 14 finishes. Dude's got a killer instinct. I think that's really big in the UFC. I think a lot of new guys that don't have that struggle early in the UFC versus guys that are killers and go for the finish. So I will take DuPlessis via I'm going to go submission. He's got a lot of chokes. He's got a lot of punches, but he's got a lot of guillotine chokes, rear naked chokes. That's pretty much all of his submission victories. So I'm going to go ahead and say he's going to take his back and get the guillotine in the second round.
So that's a good transition kind of into what I was saying earlier in the stream about those guys that are just really big and physical for their weight class. So they end up getting a lot of guillotines and a lot of rear naked chokes because they just managed to get their big bicep around somebody's neck. I think that's I don't think we're dealing with a submission specialist with DuPlessis at all, but nope. He's really big and strong. On the other half, we've got somebody that's not very big and strong for the division. I mean, Perez could definitely easily be fighting at welterweight if he wanted to. He's not a big dude for the middleweight division at all, but he's a submission specialist. I mean, I think that's what he's going to be what he's going to be looking for when he's in there. He's 2-3 in the UFC. All 3 of his losses were via decision, though. So he's obviously dealing with the size disadvantage well against at least UFC level competition. I'm taking Perez to win with a 3rd round submission. I think he grinds out the fight and eats whatever DuPlessis is throwing at him, and then ends up managing to sink something in there in the 3rd round, doing some fancy jiu-jitsu that DuPlessis hasn't seen. I think DuPlessis is not that technical of a wrestler. Like I said, it's mostly his strength that's allowing him to get these submission victories. His boxing defense could be better. He doesn't have the strongest chin. He stays calm under pressure, but he doesn't take shots very well. So even though Perez isn't a powerhouse, if he's managing to land a good volume of punches, I think it's going to at least disrupt DuPlessis from his game plan a little bit. So I'm going to take the underdog, and I'm going to take Perez with a 3rd round submission in this fight.